Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Borchell. I'm an animal behaviorist. We're here at the Animal Rescue Fund in Wainscott, Long Island. This is a shelter that has a lot of cats, really beautiful cats that unfortunately have been given up for adoption. That happens when somebody moves. It happens when a person has allergies or develops allergies to cats. But I think the most important reason people give up cats is behavior problems. Something goes wrong. The cat gets aggressive. The cat is afraid of people. The cat is urinating or defecating in the house. This happens all the time. Maybe spraying. These kind of problems are difficult to deal with and understand. But once we understand the basic behaviors of the cat, there are ways to solve it. As you know, most cats are not going to cooperate and do exactly what we want them to do in exactly the time we want them to do it. So to get some of these candid shots of cats misbehaving in the home, we had to take a small camera in to people's houses, and the quality is not going to be perfect. Please bear with us because some of the shots you're going to see are really interesting. A lot of people think a cat's going to be real, he's real friendly, but wants to play. He walked right in. We set up shop here, and he just walked right in the room and started sniffing and rubbing up against everybody, but he really wants to play, and it's a little dangerous to play with a cat like this because he's going to grab your hands, and he's purring, and he'll bite. Now, if I just don't move, he'll lick, but if I moved, he might try to bite me. And he bit a little bit, but it's very soft, so I'm going to try and get out of this very slowly and very carefully. Whoa. Okay, good. So, I wouldn't want to play with this cat with my hands, at least not too much. And I have to pet him very carefully. He likes to be petted, he's purring, but he's in a real playful mood, and that's going to start getting a bit predatory and possibly a little dangerous. So later on we'll show how to play with him. Most people think a cat's going to be real shy with strangers and new equipment and everything, but this cat is very, very playful. He walked right in, rubbed up against 3 or 4 people he'd never seen before, relaxed. He's purring now, but he's a real playful cat, and if I play with him with my hands the wrong way, he's going to grab and maybe bite and scratch. So if I play with him with something like this, he's all right. But I'll just demonstrate what happens if I get my hand there. He's going to grab. Now, if I move my hand too much, he's going to bite. His claws are out, so I got to be very, very careful not to get hurt. And this cat will be a little difficult to pet when he's in a playful mood like that, because he wants to play. You can see his claws were out, so I can pet him very, very gently, and he's all right. But if I tried getting around his stomach, he's going to bite. But that's a playful bite. As long as I'm careful, it's not going to be anything serious. But if I try to play rough with him, I'm going to end up getting hurt. Okay, so he's biting, but very gently. Now he's licking. His claws are out, so if I moved my hand away very, very quickly, I'm going to get hurt. So I pretend my hand is dead and try to back out of this very carefully, like that. Now he's playful, and he'll even play with something silly like an electrical cord here, not plugged in. He's purring and having a good time. But he's not the least bit afraid of strangers, perfectly content to play with somebody he doesn't know. But not, oh, there, I can rub his belly a little bit. But he's very prone to play with hands, so I'd have to be very, very careful not to get hurt with this cat. One of the fun things about owning a cat is playing with them. You may not realize it, but there's a lot we can learn about cats by watching them play or by playing with them ourselves. My favorite cat toy is a Kitty Tease. Now, there's a lot of variations on this toy on the market that basically involve a pole, a string, and a lure at the end that moves. This could be anything like a string or a rope or a belt, or, as you've seen with Fred, an unplugged electrical cord. The key to the toy here is it's something that moves in an interactive way that looks alive, like a mouse or a fly or a bug. What can we learn about cats by playing with them? Well, we can learn something about their eyesight, their visual perception or peripheral vision. That is, how the cat watches and moves with the toy. We can learn something about the cat's mobility. For instance, does he have an ache or a pain, or is there a bone or muscle problem that would interfere with how he moves? We can learn something about the cat's mood. Is the cat shy or afraid, or in an aggressive mood, or is he very social and affectionate? We can learn something about the cat's level of play. Is the cat active or not, or is the play very long duration or very short duration? We can also assess the style of play. Is the cat predatory by stalking, pouncing, grabbing, and biting at the toy, or is he more gentle by patting it around and tossing it in the air? We can determine the cat's attention span. Does he focus on the toy for a long period of time or get bored very quickly? And finally, we can look at the cat's learning ability. Does he know where the toy will be, what it will do, and when it's going to be available? Even more importantly, we can use the toy and play behavior as a method for treating certain behavior problems, such as fear or aggression. What is this cat doing? Looks like aggression, doesn't it? Believe it or not, this is a play signal for a chase. There's a cat to the right of the camera trying to decide what his friend is trying to say. I think he's going to get the message, and here he comes. They're in a good mood now and are probably going to mutually play. There they go. Well, let's see it again. This is another example of a play signal that leads into mutual play. These cats are in a good play mood now and will probably play together for quite a while. Now what is this cat doing? These guys are going to get a bit rambunctious here, and you might want to discourage cats in general from getting up on tables or counters or shelves. If you yourself discourage them by yelling, swatting at them, or chasing them, they may well learn to stay off only in your presence, or even worse, may become afraid or aggressive to you. A better method is to indirectly discourage them, for instance, with a squirt gun, so that a mildly irritating stimulus, water, becomes associated with getting onto certain places. You can squirt them from a hiding place without making any noise, so they associate the water with their action, not your movement or voice. Now, most cats are three-dimensional. They like to explore and get onto any available place in the house. In this case, the cat may only want to watch TV. More often than not, getting up on things can lead to broken vases, knocked over pictures, or worse. Watch what happens here. Cats like to play with any object that they think is a good toy. Now, the average young cat, maybe 2 or 3 years of age, or even some older cats up to 8 or 10 years or older, will often play very vigorously and for a long time with objects. If the owner isn't home, or if there's no other cat in the house, or if the other cat is asleep or busy, preoccupied, the cat will look for any object in the house to play with, like a Christmas tree or Christmas tree ornaments. This is a Christmas tree to the owner, but a potential toy tree to the cat. This cat has learned where toys are, it's learned how to get to them, it's learned how to get them onto the floor so it can chase them and play with them. There he goes, he's got a toy off, an ornament off, and playing with it, and will chase it around the house now for a while. This cat is hiding under the Christmas tree skirt, which is another type of game called hide and seek, or pretending I'm invisible. The cat off camera sees him, maybe looks like a little bit of stalking, He's getting ready to pounce when the cat under the tree skirt sticks his head out. Here he comes. He's still hiding, pretending he's not there. Notice the lights on the Christmas tree. The cat can easily get his paw caught in these and pull the lights down or even the tree down. There he comes out. The other cat sees him. There we go, a little bit of mutual play embedded in playing with objects. Uh-oh, 2 cats in a tree. Twice the trouble. This can be a little dangerous because the weight of the cats could actually topple the tree. But I think they've got all the ornaments down from the lower part of the tree, so they felt they have to climb up higher to get something. Yep, there he goes, trying to get another ornament or what he thinks is a toy. Oops. Here's another form of object play, stalking, in this case after a bug in the corner. Now cats are natural predators. In the wild they have to find and hunt and track down and catch their food. It's not sitting around in a food bowl like it is in the home. As he gets close to the bug, you're going to see the other cat come by who doesn't see it. As the stalking cat gets close, he's going to lose focus. Whoops, so did our camera. Cats can't see up close very well, and they have to feel for their prey with their whiskers or their paws. So we'll see a lot of hunting, sniffing around, patting at the bug, picking it up with his mouth. May not taste too good. So he will be hunting and playing with the bug. This is probably the genesis of the term playing with your food. Now, actually, this behavior may repel some people, but lots of cats will go after and eat insects, flies, mice, birds, and so forth. The bug, by the way, is probably trying to escape with his life, in this case, not too successfully. Here's another example of object play, going after a bug on the wall. But look, he's up on the stove. And as we saw before with the cat that accidentally turned on the TV, this cat could accidentally turn on the gas and cause a major problem. So this owner either needs to call a bug exterminator or has to train the cat not to jump up on the stove. Here we see him approaching the bug. He sees it. It's on the wall. He pats at it. Oh, he hasn't got it yet. There, I think he got it off the wall now. Let's go back to Fred, who clearly illustrates how a cat's mood can change quickly, from play to aggression to affection and back. While being petted, he suddenly becomes aggressive, biting, grabbing with his paws and his claws. There he grabs my hand, he's biting. Whoops, now he turns into licking. A very, very quick change in mood depending on the movement of my hand. Now these behaviors we saw with object play and mutual play, and we also saw them during predatory behavior. If a cat gets too aroused in play, for instance, rough play with hands, or exciting play with hands or feet under the covers, the aggressive play can become associated with a person and turn fairly serious. You can sometimes safely get a dog really excited in play, but highly aroused play with a cat is dangerous. I'd like to tell you about a case I saw recently. This is a cat by the name of Kitty, 7-year-old female spayed, not declawed cat, who gets aggressive to the feet of the husband in the house. A little bit to when he's wearing shoes, but more particularly when he's in his stocking feet. Now this cat is aggressive to men, but mostly moving. The cat is friendly and affectionate to the husband, but when he's moving around, the cat will hiss and growl, scratch and bite at his stocking feet. Now that's bad enough,
but there's a 9-month-old baby in the house. And the family's worried about what's going to happen as the baby gets old enough to start crawling around and walking around the house in his bare feet. Let's see what happens as we begin a treatment program here to begin to associate play behavior with moving feet rather than aggression with moving feet.
See? Okay, it's worse. Okay. Okay, so don't get hurt. Okay. And then... Okay, let's stay away. Okay, good. Now, just sort of get her, bring it down on the ground and move it around so that's it, good. That's it, good. And wiggle it around. Okay, and then, now bring it over sort of near your feet. Maybe move out into the rug, onto the rug. And just sort of make it, see if you can make it come near your feet and around your body and around your feet. Right, like that, right. Good. Good. Good, that's it. Okay. Now, while you're doing that, now this is going to be highly artificial, but just try something where you sort of take your left foot and move it over a foot, and then step to the left 1 foot, and then to the right 1 foot, and then back and forth, and just sort of moving your feet a little bit while you're moving that around, but maybe not so much. Keep her busy with it, and just sort of move around so the feet are seen to be moving. Okay, maybe. Okay.
She's got one eye on my feet, right?
Right. Right, but you want to keep at least one eye on the bug, one eye on the foot, and now maybe just sort of move the kitty tees on the ground rapidly one way, and then flick it back the other way, and then over your shoulder, so she doesn't know where it is. Okay, good. Now hold it there so she can't see it, and we'll just let her hunt for a little bit. Okay. That's good. That's good.
We just saw a short segment of a real easy session on getting this cat to associate play behavior with the owner's feet, a stimulus that had originally caused defensive aggressive behavior. Now, this kind of procedure can be used for any other stimulus that the cat might be aggressive to: hands, a noise, a certain type of person coming in the house, men, women, children, or in some cases even an odor, or a specific stimulus like a type of clothing. Now, we've seen these cats before. Notice the one on the left is showing defensive behavior, and the one on the right, offensive threat. Looks like a little fight here, but basically they're playful. What we saw was a play fight. They were sort of pretending to show aggressive behavior. One a little bit of defensive, one offensive threat. But basically it was embedded in play behavior, and these cats have a history of getting along with each other. Now, this cat is sitting here comfortably. He's pretty sure that his friend is going to be around pretty soon, and he's looking for a continuation of the play bout. Notice his tail. It's moving slowly, not swishing quickly. That means he's pretty relaxed. There we go. A little bit of play. Now look at this guy's tail. He's not so happy or confident about the other cat's intentions. Notice a slow twitch, like he's annoyed. What we have here are two cats, one who's a little bit afraid, he's the one on the table, and the other one who wants to play, but is just a little bit of a bully. Up here he comes up on the couch. This is a very common problem where we've got two cats that are slightly mismatched, one a bit more defensive and afraid, the other one playful and perhaps a little bit too bold. It would be a mistake to just let these cats fight it out, because that could lead to some very serious injuries to the cats or to people. To get these cats together, first, we play with them individually while they are separated from each other, perhaps by a door. Then we play with them at this location where they're separated. This location will become what we call a learned playground. Then we cleverly manipulate them to play together. Firstly, oblivious to each other, then eventually playing with each other. Just like Kitty, the cat we were trying to associate feet with play, we can introduce or reintroduce cats so they eventually learn to associate each other with play. This may take a few weeks for very simple problems, but some serious problems can take several months or more. Notice here we're getting the other cat to come out a little bit through an open door. We're trying to lure him out to relax, to associate play at this location, and hopefully eventually get him to learn to play with the cat that was a little bit too bold. There he's playing with the toy. Bring the toy out. He follows it. Let's see if we can get his paw to come out underneath the door, indicating he's relaxed. There we go. Yeah, he's pretty well calmed down here and is relaxed enough to at least see the other cat. Here's an example of the cat on the far side of the door. He sees the bug disappear under the door like a little mouse or a roach perhaps, and tries to go after it with his paws. He's comfortable, relaxed, in a nice play mood, and he could actually see a cat on the other side of the door and begin to associate the presence or smell or sights or sounds of that cat with play behavior.
Let's talk about getting a cat. Where do you get a cat? Several options. You can go to a shelter. There's plenty of them throughout the country. Really good places, very dedicated people, lots of nice animals, really wonderful pets. You just have to go there and select the right one for you. Breeders. A lot of breeders throughout the United States, breeding very particular breeds. You can get a good idea of what you want, have a pretty good idea that what this cat's behavior is going to be like when you get it. You can see the parents, you can see the kittens, usually as you'll get them as babies. Pet stores. Almost in every neighborhood you can find a place that has kitties or adult cats that you can buy. Another possibility is to go to pet shows. There's very large ones like Madison Square Garden show in New York. There's some in Los Angeles, Miami. But there's a lot of cat shows, very small ones in local communities. Now, the local breeders will be there, people exhibiting their cats. It's an ideal way to learn about cats, learn about what breeds you want, learn about the characteristics of the breeds, and see individual cats that you like.
When you think about adopting, the first thing that comes to mind is a kitty. They're cute, cuddly, generally very playful. Here at the Animal Rescue Fund, there's a litter that was born in the wild. These kitties are only about 5 weeks old now. We know nothing about their parents. We know they were not handled, and they're a bit shy. Now, we can use the kitty teas to assess their activity, their mobility, something about their health, particularly their eyesight, and their level of curiosity. Now, there's a kitty in the back who's real quiet. We don't know whether this kitty is sick, merely tired, or a bit shy. Now, even though we can find out something about these cats, their health, their activity level, and their behavior, we're really quite limited by their age at this time and by their experience, or the lack of it. If these kitties had come from a breeder, or from your neighbor, where we could see the parents, see how they were handled, they might be a real safe choice. Here it's a bit risky, and we're really not going to know how these kitties are going to turn out until they're 4 to 6 months of age. Now, here's this one kitty we thought he might have been sick, but I think he's actually alert. He's healthy. He'll be all right. Now, ideally, we'd come back several times and play with these cats, but that's not going to be very practical at most shelters, and kitties are adopted out very, very quickly. Now, let's look at some adult cats at the shelter, and that might not be most people's first choice. But here we are, with our whole room full of strangers and camera equipment, and let's see how the cats react. Now, we can use the kitty teas here to see their play, their activity, their level of curiosity. Now, some of these cats could have been adopted out as very young kittens, and their behavior wasn't well developed when they were adopted, and something didn't work out at home and they came back to the shelter. A surprising number of cats are given up for adoption because of allergies. The owners or the children get allergies, but also keep in mind the possibilities that other members of the family or friends or relatives might have allergies, and that could lead to the cat being given up. What to do? Well, you could go to an allergist. Desensitization shots work very well, and that can help significantly. Or you can go to the vet, there's a number of products that help reduce the amount of dander the cat gives off. We can see the cat's level of activity here. Some of them are following the kitty tease, chasing it, spinning around in circles, and pawing at it. Now, she may be a little bit shy. She doesn't want to leave her comfortable place, and may be thinking that curiosity killed the cat, but I think she's going to be okay. She doesn't run away, and I think she's going to be receptive to affection. She's looking at the kitty tease, but as we bring our hand in, she's a little bit shy, withdraws, but basically stays put and will allow being petted. Now, in our room, we have over a dozen cats here, and we're going to see quite a variation in styles of play. Some cats are going to be very active participants, hunting and chasing the bug, so to speak. These guys are having a good time, in a crowd of strangers, keep in mind, and this is probably what we're going to see when these kitties get adopted out and go to a home. Now, these cats look like they're good buddies, and it might be a good idea to adopt them both. Here we'll see some other play, styles, hunting, stalking, and chasing. Now, some cats are spectators. They're simply content to watch, see what's going on, and they might end up making very good lap cats. Now, this cat is really starved for affection. What we're seeing is rubbing behavior on the face, rubbing the hands. This is basically affection-seeking. This cat is going to be very friendly. Here's some cats that are a bit shy. They're hiding out. But notice how curious they are. And I think we can draw these cats out and get them active with the others. This cat is so affectionate, he's rubbing an inanimate object. This guy's going to be a real sweetheart and make a nice lap cat. Here's a nose check. That's a cat's way of signaling, I'm interested in you, who are you? Now here's a grumpy old man who doesn't want to be bothered by other cats. Another option is to get a purebred cat. Annie is a Persian. She's friendly, cuddly, non-destructive, but requires lots of grooming. Annie's owner decided to clip her once every 3 months or so, rather than groom her several times a day, because her fur matted, which caused her pain. Another popular and very ancient breed is a Siamese, popularized by Disney's movie Lady and the Tramp. These cats are vocal, obviously much easier to groom, but mischievous and very active, but lots of fun. Here's Nikki, a Himalayan, Annie's roommate. Himalayans are lovable like Persians. They shed a lot, but they require less grooming because their fur doesn't mat. You can probably comb them once a week or so, and that'll be sufficient. Here's Slapshot, a Maine Coon. Actually looks like my cat, which is a Norwegian forest cat. Maine Coons are very friendly and affectionate, require lots of play, but Slapshot's a little bit shy because there's 3 strangers in the apartment, and she's hiding under the fish tank. Here he comes out. He's still a little bit shy. He's actually going to be heading for the bedroom to hide. You can see he's a big cat with a magnificent coat, a long tail. Here he's going by Simba, his buddy, who's a little bit more relaxed and willing to be around us.
Artie, what kind of cat do you have?
This is a Maine Coon. He is 2 years old right now. He actually is smaller, you can't see, but smaller than what most Maine Coons. Simba's about 10 pounds. Most Maine Coons that you'd find are much bigger, and they'd usually be in the 20-pound range.
Why did you get a Maine Coon?
Well, basically I never had a cat before and never really thought that I'd ever want to have a cat. Basically I always had the opinion that cats were standoffish and did what they wanted to do and weren't very good pets to have. When I moved into this apartment, pets weren't allowed, but I figured cats, how they gonna know if you have it anyway, so I would give it a shot. And I'd asked different people about different breeds of cats, and I had questions specifically about the Maine Coon because I felt it was such a beautiful cat. And when I went to the cat shows at first, I was under the impression because the Maine Coon is such a big cat that it would need to be outdoors and wouldn't be happy being confined in an apartment. And the more breeders that I spoke with, not only did they think that it would be happy being confined inside, but they wouldn't even sell you the cat if you said you were going to let the cat go outside. And from that point, I went to a few different shows until I found the right cat that I wanted.
you've just seen 4 of the most popular breeds of cats. There's actually 35 or so more that are available. These are short-haired cats, long-haired cats. The advantage of getting a purebred cat is that you're going to know the cat's history. You'll know something about the parents, or at least the breeder will, maybe even the grandparents and great-grandparents. So the breeder will know a lot about this cat's lineage, about its temperament, about its basic behavior. The disadvantage is that a purebred cat's going to cost probably somewhere around $300 or $400, maybe more if it's a show-winning cat. But you might be able to get a bargain by getting a non-show quality cat. That doesn't mean it's a bad cat. It simply means that the cat may not win a blue ribbon and be a show quality cat, but it'll be a wonderful pet and it'll be just a nice cat in your home. My cat actually is that kind of cat. It's not show quality, probably the best cat I've ever had. One of the options at a shelter is to get an adult cat. It's true you won't know anything about the parents, maybe about its early experience. But one thing you can do at the shelter is use the information that's available there from the people who work at the shelter. Now there's a lot of really good people. They don't work at shelters for the money. They love animals. They're interested in this animal's welfare. They probably know something about the cat's behavior in the cage, and a lot of cats, like we saw with Jerry and Fred, are out and about, walking around and interacting with people. And there's a lot of information we can get from shelter staff about this cat's behavior with strangers, with other people, maybe even with other animals. Let's go back to the warm, cuddly kittens that unfortunately grow up and show adult-like behaviors. Now, some of these behaviors cause problems, and we're not going to know where that behavior comes from. Was it from the parents, some genetically based problem, or was it an early experience? So when we get a kitty from the shelter, there's a little bit of a risk. We're not sure what's going to happen as this cat gets to be an adult. And those are the lucky cats that come back. There's hundreds of thousands of other cats out there that are just tossed out into the woods or let loose in a suburban area. And there's a huge number of these cats that die. And there's a huge number of these cats that reproduce to have other kitties, which are then brought into shelters. So this speaks to the issue of getting your cat neutered. This is a very important issue. There's an overpopulation of cats. They're the most popular pet now, but they're also the largest number of stray animals, and it causes a major problem for shelters and for communities. Another option about getting a pet is a pet store. Now, we're not going to know anything about the animal's early experience, and we may not know very much about the breeding history and the genetics of the animal. We can rely, however, on word of mouth from neighbors or people that you know who've bought pets there, or perhaps more importantly from the local veterinarian who's going to have some feedback about other people who have bought animals there. Regardless, when you go to a pet store, check out the cleanliness of the animal itself, of the cage, how much care the animals are given, how many times they're petted and picked up and handled. This is all important information to tell you whether the animal is going to be a good pet from that establishment. In any case, whether you get your pet from a breeder, a shelter, or a pet store, you must ensure that you have the option of taking this animal to the veterinarian, either your own veterinarian or a veterinarian perhaps at a cat show, who will check out the animal to make sure it's healthy.
There's a surprisingly large number of plants, both indoor and outdoor, that are poisonous for cats. This is a good reason to keep your cat indoors. Now, a semi-starved outdoor cat may actually be more likely to eat these plants and get themselves in trouble. And you may not have known that the lifespan of an outdoor cat is probably only about 3 or 4 years, whereas an indoor cat who's well-fed and kept healthy can be 15 or 18 years or more. Cats that are outdoors are also likely to get into fights with other cats, and cat bites and scratches can easily get infected and can slowly kill. Let's go back to Fred, who was good enough to wait around for us to discuss grooming behavior. Now, cats are very clean by nature. They naturally spend a lot of time grooming themselves, and we seldom need to interfere with this natural process. We really only need to groom them if they get exceptionally dirty, or if they have fleas, or if they're old and sick and don't groom themselves as much as they should. Bathing a cat usually isn't necessary, but you can if the cat isn't too upset, or if you have to give them a flea bath. Mutual grooming, which you see here, is a little bit like people hugging each other. It's a form of social bonding and maintaining a relationship.
There's 3 things we want to keep in mind in grooming a cat. First is we want to make it pleasant for the cat. That means he should be comfortable, he should enjoy the experience. Otherwise, we may have a hard time grooming the cat or trying to groom the cat the second time. Second thing is we want to get all the dead hair out and just clean up the fur. And third, any knots that we want to clear out. Let's look at some of the equipment that's available. This brush has metal, sort of springy, long bristles, and probably would not be very good because it could catch any of the knots, and it might hurt the cat when it rubbed up against the skin. A brush like this has very long and very pliable bristles. It's not going to hurt the cat at all. It's not going to catch any knots, but it's also not going to pull in any hair. But this might be a good brush to start off with a cat who's not used to being brushed, and we just get him used to the feel of something rubbing up against the fur, although it won't do a very good job of actually cleaning the fur. This is a slicker brush. It's probably used by professionals and particularly cats in a cat show, where you need to groom the fur, real long fur, repeatedly. But if you're starting off with a cat, this is probably not a good brush because the bristles are very stiff. They're bent. They're going to grab the hair, pull any knots, and if it gets down to the skin, it may be uncomfortable for the cat. What I like to start off with is nothing more than a regular comb. This is a metal comb. The tines are a little bit stiff and a little pointy. This is a plastic comb, a little bit more flexible. These are a lot easier. You can feel when you come to a knot and stop. You can see the fur as it's coming out. You can stroke them very, very gradually and get them used to it so that they don't find it uncomfortable. Let's bring on Jerry and I'll show you how we'll do this. Okay, keep in mind that the first goal here is to make this pleasant for the cat. So what I'm doing is I'm not focusing too much on getting hair out. I just want him to like the idea of being rubbed. So I'm very, very carefully doing small pieces of fur at a time, small little patches, not a lot of force, not a lot of pressure. Jerry's in a good mood, I think. He's purring up a storm. We caught him in a good mood. And I'm not trying to focus on cleaning the fur yet, but just to get him used to the idea of being rubbed. Now, as he starts calming down and relaxing, I can start focusing on getting some of that dead fur out. I can press a little harder, take a little wider strokes. He seems to be accepting that. That's all right. Seems to like it. You can see I'm getting some of the dead fur out. And we'll keep going. He needs a good grooming here. But I think if I used a real stiff, heavy brush, it's going to hurt him, he's going to get frightened, and he's gone. Oh, that a boy. So he likes this. He needs it too. A lot of times we want to focus on what part of the body the cat likes to have groomed. They'll often sort of stretch and put themselves in position to be groomed if you're a little bit attentive to what they're doing. Now there's a little bit of a knot here. I want to be careful not to catch it and pull it too hard. Data boy. Oh, you like this, huh? Oh, you like the back of the neck, Data boy. Top of the head. Ooh, good dog, Data boy. And here we go. Now we get some of the neck, which is a little bit knotted. And there's a knot right under his throat. Whoops, he's not too happy about that, so I don't want to push it. I'll just get the top. If I was going to do him 3 or 4 or 5 times, I might get to the point where I could get under his throat. But if he's objecting, I don't want to do that yet. So in the beginning, we focus only on those parts of the body and those strokes that he likes to meet the first goal, which is to make this comfortable. The second and third goals to clean the fur and get the knots out, that'll come, that'll take time. But there's no need to do all that at once. So keep in mind the first goal, we want every time he's groomed, it should be friendly, affectionate, comfortable, a nice time. Not every time do we have to get a lot of hair out. Now he seems to be okay with a lot of this. Now I might stop, for some cats, I might stop at this point and say, okay, he's had enough, and we'll just let him go. But he seems to be relaxing. So we'll go as long as we have to, as long as he'll tolerate it. Data boy. Oh, you like this, data boy. At some point he may say, well, that's enough, and then we'll just let him go. Okay. So we got out some more fur. There's a lot more to go, but we've got time to do it. Okay, we're going to talk about grooming the cat a little bit, and particularly with clipping the nails. Let's talk about the equipment first. This is a commercially available clipper. It's really quite big. This would be best for dogs. Oh, good kitty. The problem with using this as a clipper for cats is it's really too big and you can't see the end of the nail very well. And I think there's too high a likelihood of getting down to the quick and injuring the cat. This small little scissors is very, very good. It's real little. You can move it around and get just to clip the end of the nail very easily without getting down to the quick. For my own cat, I use just regular people fingernail clippers, very small one. I can see the end of the nail and just clip the end of it off real easily. Okay, this cat is now relaxed a bit. I've been careful to try to get him calmed down, get him in a good mood, get him in an affectionate, playful mood. Now what we're going to do is just grab his paw very carefully here and see if he'll let me touch it. And if I'm careful, I can extend one claw, and his head's now in the way so I can't see, so I'll wait. And I got the end of one claw right then. I took off maybe 1/16 of an inch. For the first claw, for the first time with this cat, that's not bad. So I'll wait a little bit, let him get back into a nice mood here. He was not afraid, he was not aggressive, he didn't seem to be upset. He's not too upset with me just grabbing his paw.
Different colored paws. This is Simba, who's comfortable in his owner's arms and is used to being clipped. We can extend the claws by pressing down on the pad and exposing the entire claw, clipping the tip only to keep away from the quick. We can do both paws and all claws in about 15 seconds. Now, the best and safest way to take a cat to the veterinarians, or to the groomer, or for a trip, is to use a carrier like this. Now, cats tend to get very comfortable in a place that they know, and they're reluctant to go someplace new. So it's probably not a good idea to board a cat outside the home, and much better to have a sitter come in and keep the cat comfortable in a place that it knows. Now, in this case, Annie doesn't want to go, and Allison is trying to lure Annie into the carrier with a treat. This may take a while, probably quite a few treats and a lot of patience. Eventually she does get in, and she may not be totally relaxed here, but she's not too upset. Now we'll take her to the car, and you can imagine what it would be like carrying a frightened cat in the car without a carrier, where she's loose to cause major trouble for yourself and to get her in trouble. Got to make sure we put the seatbelt on to ensure safety for the cat and for the driver. Here they are back home, safe and sound. Annie's going to be happy to get out, be relaxed. Her friend Nicky is also happy that she's home. His eyes light up in joy, and probably a little bit of relief that he didn't have to go himself. Now here's Timothy bringing Sheena to the carrier. Sheena's used to being in the carrier. She's used to being placed there. She's used to being in the car. When she gets to the country, where she goes maybe once a week, she's very happy. She's very comfortable. She likes the trip and is very comfortable going in the carrier and with the car ride. Now these cats are used to the carrier. It's been out in the home. They don't mind being shoved in because they go in for play, a little bit of treats, to sleep. This carrier's been out a lot and they're used to going in and out of it on a pretty regular basis.
Now we come to the unpleasant part, how to deal with the cat litter box. And actually it doesn't have to be that unpleasant. If we're a little bit careful, we can clean the boxes to the cat's desire. That'll be okay with us, no odor, no big mess. You just have to know some of the basic principles of cat elimination behavior. Now the first step is that they have their own preferences for the material they like to eliminate in. Now, if you watch cats on the litter box, if they're doing it the right way, they go into the box, they dig around a little bit, they urinate and defecate, and particularly if they defecate, they typically cover up, do a lot of scratching in the litter and cover up the feces, or at least try to. They are not trying to bury it to make it disappear, as we would bury something underground. What they're doing is just digging because it feels appropriate, it feels like the right material, and if it's not the right material, they won't use it.
Let's look at a couple examples of normal cat elimination behavior. Now this cat is in the litter, digging. He apparently likes the feel of it, to make a hole, to urinate, and then when he's done, he's going to cover up. Now the obvious reason they cover is to get rid of the odor, but the feel and the texture of the litter is very important. Boy, this cat really had to go. Maybe he should have brought a newspaper along with him. After he's finished, he should turn around and cover up. That would again be normal cat elimination behavior. Well, here comes his friend, and this cat is a little bit slow in getting to the act of covering, and his buddy's going to do it for him. Well, he likes the feel of that litter also. Here's another example. Digging and covering prior, squatting to urinate. This indicates that the litter is appropriate for this cat, and it likes to use it. There he's finished. Now he turns around and covers up. Again, this indicates the cat likes the feel of this litter. Now here's another example of a cat who will go in the box, dig around a little bit, but as we see after he urinates, he's going to cover somewhere else. There he's almost finished. He turns around, he sniffs, and he covers and scratches on the floor. Now, is that because the litter box is a bit dirty, or because he doesn't like the feel of the litter? I suspect that it's the latter, and this cat might cause a problem at some future time with urinating or defecating out of the box.
Now let's look at the two common litters that are on the market. The most common litters are clay material. This is a granular clay, non-scooping litter. This is thrown away regularly. You would change the box maybe once every other day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a week at the most. A lot of times the box comes with a cover to hide the feces and to cut down the odor. The cover would fit on the box like so. Now there's several possible problems with a covered litter box. First of all, if you don't pay attention, the box can get a lot dirtier than you know, and the cat is going to object to it. Second, some cats are really big, or they have very large tails, and they're not going to fit conveniently in the box. So if I see a litter box problem, owner calls me up and the cat is urinating or defecating out of the box, and the box is covered, one of the first steps, I may even tell him over the phone, is to go ahead and take the cover off and see if that helps. If it's a big cat, it has a really large tail, or if he likes to move around a lot, take the cover off. That may mean you have to clean the box a little bit more frequently, but that's good for your cat. Now, the scoops that are available for cleaning this kind of litter, usually plastic, and they're slotted in such a way that you can pick up the poops. There's no poops in here, we're not going to be disgusting. We're just going to show you how you would sift through the litter, shuffle it a little bit like that, throw the poops in the toilet. And that'll work for any one of these litters, any one of these scoops rather. Now, the other kind of very common litter on the market that's been around for maybe the last 10 years is the scooping litter. This is used very, very differently. You don't throw it away. You use a metal slotted scoop to reach in here, pick up the urine balls, don't shuffle the scoop, and just throw the urine ball away. Now, we're not going to likely get a cat to urinate in here on cue, so we use the next best thing and just pretend this is a cat peeing in the litter. Now, that's going to end up being a pretty big clump because most of the time it would be fairly small and circumscribed. After it hardens a little bit, we can reach underneath, pick it up, and throw this away. What's left in the box is completely clean. You don't need to throw it away. You don't need to change it. I've gone with litter, clumping litter, as long as 3 and 4 years without changing the box. I add litter when I need to. I scoop regularly, sometimes once or twice a day, get rid of all the urine balls, and then add new litter when necessary. The feces you can flush down the toilet. do not flush the urine balls down the toilet because you'll cause major problems. Those can be put in a plastic bag and thrown out with the garbage. To reiterate, there's several things we need to keep in mind. One, we're looking for the right kind of litter for the cat, something that likes to dig and cover up in, something that likes to scratch in. We're looking for a litter box that's big enough so the cat can fit. We may want to take the lid off if that's going to be a problem and constrains the cat too much. Keep in mind, by the way, that with these clay litters, you want to make sure that pregnant women do not change the litter box. There's a disease that they can get from cleaning the box, and you have to be very careful with that. If it turns out that the clay litters are not acceptable to your cat, then look for non-clay litters. There's a wheat-based clumping litter, that might be appropriate. There are corn litters, wood chips, wood shavings, wood pellets, shredded paper. You can even use topsoil mixed with a little bit of clay if you think that'll work for your cat. So the secret of a litter box, preventing a litter box problem, keep it clean, use the right kind of litter. The cat will tell you what's the right kind of litter. Use the right kind of box and hunt for the litter that the cat likes. And that should take care of it. You've seen a lot of material about understanding and training your cat. We assume we don't have to teach you too much about loving your cat. But let's talk a little bit about the communication between you and your cat and between your cat and you that helps us even more in understanding them. One of the communication signals from the cat to us is purring. Now remember when we saw Jerry being groomed? If you could hear him in the background purring like a little motorboat. This is a cat who didn't know me, didn't know any of the people in the room, but he was very affectionate, very happy to be with us, and was displaying it with a vocal signal. Purring is a guttural, sort of a roar in the throat. It means he's affectionate, it means he's playful, he's contented, and it comes from an infantile behavior of the kitties purring when they're nursing the mom. Now, another signal you saw in the large cat room at the shelter was rubbing behavior and the tail straight up in the air. These are indications, again, of friendly, affectionate behavior. A cat who's starved for affection will rub his face up against your leg or your hand, or if they're really starved for affection, they'll rub up against any inanimate object. The tail up is an indication of interest and alertness and friendly approach. Another signal is a very soft meow. The cat will give this when it's in a friendly, affectionate mood, and it's signaling you, I'm ready to play, or I'm ready for affection. Another example of that is licking behavior. Now, they will lick your hands or your face, and this is again an indication of affection. Now, I think you saw in one of the cat room segments, when I stuck my finger out, the cat very slowly approached and touched it with his nose, sort of like that. That's called a nose check, and it's what cats do when they're signaling each other. I see you, I'm a little hesitant, I'm going to slowly approach, and I'm going to see whether you're going to be friendly or not. What we do when we reach out with our finger is mimic a cat nose check. And if we do it very slowly and very carefully, the cat will interpret us as friendly and being a slow approach and something that's not frightening or to run away from. Now, what I do when I make a house call is when I come in the door, I'm looking to see if there's a cat there. Because very often a cat will be in the background, sort of wary, looking at me in a very cautious way. And if I come right into the house, hi, how do you do, I'm Dr. Borchell, and I walk right in, that might frighten the cat. So what I do is do sort of a very distant greeting response to the cat and stop, don't move, wait for the cat to calm down, and then I move slowly away from the cat. And many times that signals the cat, I'm not an enemy, I'm not somebody who's going to frighten it. The cat may come up and sit in my lap after 15 or 20 minutes, much to the surprise of the owner. Have you ever been in a room and saw your cat walk up to you and literally just flop over on his side? That's an indication of trust and being comfortable and being affectionate. They may roll over completely and expose their belly in their most vulnerable position. But again, that means the cat is comfortable and trusting of you and members of the family. There's also a number of danger signals the cat presents to us that should tell us that we have to be very careful. For example, hissing, growling, or what the owner would call yowling behavior. This might occur to an outdoor cat seen in the windowsill, or perhaps if the cat is very frightened in the house. The important point to remember is that if you see the cat or hear the cat engaging in some of these vocalizations, don't go up to it, don't try to calm it down, don't try to comfort the cat. It's highly likely the cat will then redirect the aggression to you which could lead to some fairly serious injury. Another example of a negative behavior is what's called piloerection. This is where the cat puffs up. The tail gets very fluffy, or the fur along the whole body puffs up. This is usually an indication of fear or very high arousal, and again could lead to some real danger if you try to interfere with the cat. Another situation that could be quite dangerous is when the cat is in very excited play behavior, stalking after your feet, probably scratching with claws extended, running after you, leaping up. If the cat is in a really high excited play mood, you probably want to get the cat playing with something other than your body, because this could lead to some serious problems. Another example of a dangerous situation is when the cat is hiding. It's afraid, the ears are back, it may or may not be vocalizing. For instance, it might be hiding under the bed or in the closet. It's very dangerous to try to pull the cat out to comfort it. Leave it alone, wait until it changes mood and gets into play, or even better, affection, and let it come out on its own. We hope you enjoyed watching this tape. We certainly enjoyed making it. We've worked with some wonderful cats and some really great cat owners. If you've heard some dogs in the background while you've been watching this, those are actors auditioning for our upcoming dog tapes. Thank you very much.